the key that shouldn't exist. Trust doesn't shatter like glass. It decays, slowly, silently, until the person you sleep beside becomes a stranger wearing your partner's face. That was Elena. She hadn't cheated on me, yet, but her smile no longer reached her eyes and her touch felt rehearsed. Something inside me had already died, I just didn't want to admit it. It was a Tuesday. I remember because it rained that morning and the smell of wet asphalt lingered in her car when I got in to borrow her charger. Glove box open. No charger. Just a crumpled receipt and a lone silver key on a plain ring with a red rubber grip. I almost shut the compartment until something told me, check the paper. Westview Apartments. Unit 3F. Cleaning service. The receipt was dated 2 days ago. My chest tightened. Westview was in the other side of the city. She hated that neighborhood. Too far from her gym. Too far from us. I didn't ask. Because liars don't confess. They rewrite. And I was done reading fairy tales. That night, while she scrolled her phone beside me in bed, I copied the key at the 24-hour hardware store. No questions asked. Just metal and betrayal. She said she had a team retreat coming up. A wellness weekend hosted by her HR department. I kissed her goodbye the morning she left. I waved. I smiled. Then I grabbed the copy, my gloves, a burner phone, and drove straight to Westview. The key didn't just unlock a door. It opened a chapter of her life that I wasn't supposed to read. Chapter 2, the apartment where I didn't exist. Westview Apartments looked like the kind of place where nothing bad ever happened. Tall hedges. Polished marble lobby. That artificial calm like a hotel that charges by the month. I parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest of the distance, hoodie up, key in my pocket, heart steady, steady only because it had gone numb. Unit 3F was on the top floor. I took the stairs. Needed the silence. The click of my shoes was the only sound. Each step felt like I was ascending into a truth I could never come back from. When the key slid into the lock and turned with ease, I realized I wasn't breaking in. I was walking into a life that had already locked me out. The air inside was scented. Vanilla. Expensive. The kind of smell you pick when you're trying to impress someone. The living room was magazine perfect. A couch too clean to sit on. A faux fur throw lazily draped, like a staged romance. A silk robe tossed across the armrest. 2 wine glasses by the sink. One had lipstick still dried on the rim. Elena's shade. I'd bought it for her last Christmas. The bedroom was worse. Framed photos. Elena and some man. Same guy in multiple shots. Poolside. On a sailboat. Laughing. Matching swimsuits. Matching towels. Matching lies. This wasn't an affair. It was a shadow life. A place where she could be someone else, with someone else, while I held down the home she pretended to love. But I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I planned. I checked the Wi-Fi router. No password change. Just the default login still active. She thought she was clever. But her cleverness left doors wide open for people like me. I logged in. Installed a remote camera syncing tool. Then I planted 2 cameras. Motion-activated, cloud-based. One in the air vent above the bed. The other hidden inside a Bluetooth speaker that wasn't even plugged in. Next, I replaced the strike plate of the door with a magnetic sensor. If that door opened again, I'd know. And then I saw her laptop on the desk. Charging. Lid down. Not locked. I shouldn't have opened it. But I did. Because betrayal has a gravity. And I was already falling. Her inbox was a museum of infidelity. Emails from Sebastian. Subject lines like, "Can't stop thinking about last time," and "You make me feel like fire." Attachments, blurry selfies of the 2 of them, plane tickets to Tulum, even a Google Doc titled New Year Goals, Private, with bullet points like, "Move closer to Sebastian." Talk to Daniel about needing space. Keep work and play separate. I screenshot it all. One message said, "Daniel's too passive to ever figure it out. He's safe, but he's invisible." Invisible. That word rang in my head like a gunshot in a church. Before I left, I made sure everything was exactly where I found it. Robe on the couch. Wine glasses rinsed but not moved. I closed the door behind me, locked it gently, and walked down the hall with a different heart beating in my chest. She thought I was invisible. She was about to see just how wrong she was. They came back like it was their home. 3 nights later it happened. My phone lit up just after 11:45 p.m. Motion detected. Unit 3F. Door opened. I didn't rush. I didn't panic. I was already dressed. Coffee warm. Laptop open. Feeds connected. I knew this was coming. It was only a matter of time. The live footage loaded with a hum in my ears. And there they were, Elena and Sebastian, stumbling in like a pair of teenagers breaking curfew. She was laughing, heels in one hand, makeup slightly smudged. I watched her toss her bag onto the couch like she owned the place, like I had never existed. Sebastian followed her in, confident, cocky, already unbuttoning his shirt. "You brought the red one?" he asked, grinning like a man who thought he'd won. She smiled at him, biting her lip. "It's in my bag," she whispered. "You know the bedroom." He kissed her. She giggled. That sound used to mean something to me. Now it felt like static in my soul. They disappeared into the bedroom. The camera caught everything. I could have looked away. I could have shut it down and spared myself the sight. But I didn't. I watched. Because this wasn't about pain anymore. It was about evidence. The audio came through crystal clear. I heard every word. "She thinks I don't know," Elena said between breaths, her voice dripping with arrogance. "He's like, emotionally neutered. Predictable. Harmless." Sebastian chuckled. "Then what's the risk?" She shrugged. "There isn't one. He's never even asked questions. I could tell him I'm on the moon and he'd nod and say, 'Sounds peaceful.'" I watched her slip out of her clothes I'd washed, folded, loved her in. I watched her slip into a life she'd built without me. And when the night was done and they finally passed out tangled in each other's arms, the room dimmed to silence. But my heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I was calm. Deadly calm. Because I had everything I needed. The video. The audio. The date stamp. The betrayal. The voice of the woman I once promised forever to, mocking the man I used to be. And so, while they slept, I did what she never imagined I could. I clipped the footage into a clean, damning highlight reel. 3 minutes. Perfect quality. No exaggeration. Just the raw, unfiltered truth. Her saying, "He's too soft to ever find out," became the final frame. That was the title. That was the dagger. By the time the sun rose, that file was sitting quietly in 4 inboxes. Her boss. Her parents. Our marriage counselor. And the shared drive labeled "Company Pitch, Final Draft." She'd wake up thinking she was still winning. She didn't know her world was already crumbling around her. The collapse begins. By 9 a.m. the silence cracked. I sat at the kitchen table, same spot where Elena and I used to plan vacations, talk careers, laugh over pancakes. Now was my war room. The laptop screen blinked, signaling a new email. Subject: immediate HR review required. From her boss. "We've received an anonymous file involving what appears to be inappropriate conduct with a client. Please confirm if this is authentic. This will affect your employment status and upcoming promotion review." Boom. The first domino tipped. Minutes later, another message. This time her mother. 3 words. "You disgust me." No calls. No follow-ups. Just the judgment of a woman who once gave a heartfelt toast at our anniversary dinner. She had watched it. All of it. The truth wasn't just out. It was multiplying. Her shiny little second life was unraveling thread by thread, and she had no idea where the tug was coming from. At 12:31 p.m. my phone rang. Elena. I stared at the screen for a moment, then answered. I didn't speak first. All I heard was her breath. Then finally, "What did you do?" Her voice was hollow. Flat. The sharpness was gone. I leaned back in my chair. "You mean, besides watching you call me boring while you played dress-up in a stranger's bed?" She tried to rally. "You had no right." I cut her off. "Come, clean. You had no right to build a secret life, to treat me like background noise, to wear our wedding ring while calling me furniture." She was silent. For once, completely without words. "I didn't yell," I continued. "Didn't throw things. I just gave people the truth. And it spoke louder than you ever did." Then I hung up. No grand finale. No scream. Just a clean severing of the last string holding her world together. The fallout spread fast. An hour later, Rick, my best friend from college, the guy who had helped me set up the cameras, sent me a screenshot. Elena just updated her LinkedIn. Open to new opportunities. Code 4, she got fired. Another friend texted. "Bro, Elena's name is blowing up in our company Slack. What the hell happened?" I didn't reply. Let the whispers do the work. Later that evening, I checked the cloud footage one last time, not to punish myself but to remind myself what betrayal really looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not cinematic. It's cold. It's boring. It's someone you love becoming someone who couldn't care less if they broke you. And then, just before I went to bed, I did something I hadn't done in months. I smiled. Because her lies didn't just get caught. They collapsed with proof. Delivered with precision. I didn't need revenge that screamed. I needed revenge that echoed, the key I left behind. Days passed. Then a week. Then two. No more calls. No more texts. The silence between us became permanent, like a wall built from ashes and sealed with shame. I didn't chase her. I didn't even think about what she might be doing, or where she might be sleeping now that 3F was a crime scene of her own making. But then one afternoon, a white envelope arrived at the house. Handwritten. No return address. I recognized the handwriting instantly, her loops, her uneven slant. It looked rushed, like her fingers were tripping over themselves in desperation. I didn't open it right away. I made a cup of tea. Sat in the living room. The same room where we once danced barefoot to old vinyl records. The same couch where she used to curl up beside me while texting him. Then I opened it. Daniel, it began. What you saw, it's not what it looked like. I know you're hurting. I never meant to do this. I didn't think you'd ever find out. I was lost, confused. But I never stopped loving you. Please don't let this mistake erase everything we were. I want to talk. I want to come home. I'll do anything. Please. 2 pages of that. Begging. Gaslighting. Excuses. Tears on paper. But there was no apology, only fear of consequences. Fear of losing the safety she once mocked. Fear of sleeping in a life without me to hold it up. I didn't reply. She didn't deserve words. Instead, I paid a final visit to Westview. I walked the familiar path, past the front desk clerk who barely glanced up, and took the stairs again to 3F. I didn't bring a bag. I wasn't taking anything. I was leaving something behind. The apartment was empty. Silent. No robe. No wine glasses. No perfume clouding the air. Just shadows and memory. I walked through each room one last time. Not to grieve, just to confirm that I felt nothing. I placed a note on the counter. Folded. Simple. You lied in this bed. Now lie in the life that's left. Then I placed the key, her key, on the kitchen table and walked out without locking the door. That chapter was over. It's been 5 months. The house is mine again. The bedroom feels warmer. The silence no longer hums with doubt. I sleep in the middle of the bed now. I cook for myself. I go on hikes. I replaced our wedding photo with a canvas of a mountaintop I reached alone last month. Because that's what healing looks like. It's not forgetting, it's choosing not to bleed for the same wounds again. Betrayal didn't just break my heart. It broke the version of me who thought love was enough. And from those broken pieces, I built a new man. One who sees clearly, breathes deeper, and never hands out blind trust again. Elena once called me safe. She meant it as an insult. Now she'd give anything to feel safe again. But I'm not her shelter anymore. She gambled our marriage and I made sure the cameras were rolling when she lost everything.